What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful day. I know I am, because the jabs at Kamala Harris' expense have not stopped. And Joe Rogan has had enough of Kamala Harris' lies about why that interview, that fated interview, never took place. And to be honest, I'm not really surprised at all. We're going to talk about this a little bit later on my live stream. Please download that good old-fashioned Rumble app. Follow The Quartering if you haven't yet. Or if you're a YouTube-only viewer and you don't want to deal with another app, please follow my Quartercast channel. We're live every day at 1 o'clock Eastern. Now, this is what actually happened with Kamala not coming on the podcast. There has been weeks of speculation. We don't know what's going on. Joe Rogan finally takes to the airwaves and tells us the truth.
Today. I guess it's probably a good time to talk about this. There was a thing that came out recently. There was a book. There was some book about the Kamala Harris campaign where they talked about her getting on this show. And they said a bunch of things that weren't true. They talked to, supposedly talked to like 150 different people about her and, you know, what happened with her coming on this show. I don't know if it's 150. A lot of people. They didn't talk to us, and which is kind of crazy. And which is like... They didn't even ask, but they said things that just weren't true. One of the things they said that weren't true was that we lied about the day that Trump was coming on.
This was a big part of the kind of the CYA, the cover your rear end of Kamala Harris. She blamed everything on Joe Rogan, saying, oh, it's definitely Joe Rogan's fault. He's a dirty, dirty liar. He said this, he did that. He said one thing, he did a different thing. That's not what happened.
No, we just didn't tell you that Trump was coming on. He was already booked a long time ago. This is how it worked. Trump was really easy to book, like super easy.
Oh,
we
shocking.
offered one day. He said yes. That was it. There was no, what are we going to talk about? How long is it going to be? Is it going to be edited? There was nothing. Yeah. What's the waiver? Here, give me that waiver. Sign it. It was so easy. So he was already booked. They never committed to doing the show.
That is absolutely bonkers to me. That Trump just never cared at all. Trump just didn't care. He's like, yeah, we good. I'm going to come on. Things off the table? Nah, I'm not taking anything off the table. I'm good with all of that. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, apparently was a whole lot different.
So all this talk, there was another thing they said that the reason why they did the Beyonce thing, the Beyonce event in Houston, was so that they could be in Texas to do my show. They never agreed to do the show.
Oops. It looks like that also turned out to be a lie. I mean, how many things did this woman lie about? I get wanting to, like, you know, cover, you know, doing a little CYA, cover your rear end, you know, try and save face. But it turns out that this was just a complete lie.
None of that's true. They never agreed.
That's fucked.
They also said that they sent someone down here to the studio to do a walkthrough of the set. That's not true. The Trump administration did. I mean, if they are trying to say that they, as in the entire federal government, well, I don't think the Trump, well, I guess the Secret Service is a part of the federal government. Maybe you can kind of get away with saying that because the Secret Service came down here for Trump and looked around, that we sent someone down, but it was not. It was the Trump administration sent them down because they're the only ones that had a date to do the show.
So Kamala Harris lied about sending Secret Service.
These people didn't have a date to do. They never agreed to do the show. This is really important. Even after Trump went on, they offered for me to come to D.C. and do a show with Kamala. But even then, it was the same deal. It was only like 45 minutes to an hour. And, you know, it was not on my set. And I said that, look, he did it here. We should probably do it here. Like, if it's possible to do it here. Obviously, when he did it, it had an enormous result. I'm willing to do the same thing for her. I wanted to release both of them on the same day.
That would have been bonkers. Release them both on the same day would have been bonkers. Could you imagine? I would have probably just had to fire up a live stream. Again, over on Quartercast. Link in the description. Follow it live Monday through Friday at 1 Eastern. rotating co-hosts every day. Today is Stick, Sex, and Hammer and Hannah Claire Brimlow. Tomorrow, Luke Rutkowski and Melanie Mack.
This was my goal. I was even trying to figure out if there was a way that I could do it, and I even offered to do it late that night. So the night that Trump came on, I'm like, what if we do her, like when she's done in Texas, if she came here? But no one ever committed to doing it. This is like really important because they keep pretending that I lied or I did this or I did that. No one, they never committed to doing it.
Well,
we went through, I've got a whole, we have all the receipts, by the way. A whole list of conversations that took place. They never said she was going to do it. So this whole idea that we fucked her over and then we fucked her over for Trump, incorrect.
What's wild is this book just ends up being more propaganda for Kamala Harris. That's what this book ends up being. Like, it was completely full of lies. The book was a complete and total lie. I don't even understand.
Just not true.
And she,
but I think it's someone trying to cover their ass for the fact that she never did it, and if she did do it, it might have had a positive effect.
Yeah,
if her and I had a good time and we got along great, and she won over, the air quote young male vote, things could have been different. Who knows? So this guy's probably trying to cover his ass.
That's what I'm thinking too, is because the reaction to her not coming was like pretty big.
But they didn't commit to doing it. This is the thing. While this guy's saying like that we were difficult to deal with, not true. We were super easy. We made it real clear. But also, it's got to be the actual real show. It shouldn't be some fake version of it where I'm sitting in a conference room. Oh, also, they wanted a stenographer in the room.
What?
They wanted staff in the room. They wanted Trump.
I mean, they wanted a stenographer and they wanted staff in the room. So they could, almost certainly, right? So they could control what was said, what made it out to the public, they would have definitely tried to censor this. Like 100,000,000%, they would have tried to censor this. This is Joe Rogan confirming that. Like, he absolutely positively saying, yep, they would have censored this interview. They wanted to be able to have all this other nonsense in place. It's crazy to me.
Trump was just in here by himself.
Yeah.
Just me, him, and Jamie. That's it. For 3 hours. Like, they wanted to do everything. They wanted it very controlled, and they were really concerned that it wasn't going to be edited. So I don't think they ever really were sure they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Then once Trump did it, and it had this huge response, I think
suddenly they wanted it.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What are we doing? He just did it. It's got 50 fucking million views. This is so stupid. Why didn't we do it?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this much. The Kamala Harris interview would not have got, 50 to 100 million views like the Trump one did. That I think we can all agree on. But it would have done, if it was good, they would have covered it. Or, it would have helped her.
And so then there was, even then, when they offered to do it in D.C., my manager asked, is she committed to doing this? If I bring this to Joe, no, she hasn't committed to doing this. Have you brought this to her? Like, they wouldn't even say whether or not she had expressed willingness to do it or whether they were trying to convince her to do it. We know for sure there were some people that were supposedly on her staff that were against her doing it. They thought it was because it's a bunch of wokesters. They're basically in a cult. You have a Look, if you're willing to go on Fox News, you talk to what's that guy's name, Brett Breyer?
Yeah.
Where they cut that off after 20 minutes. When they did that, that's when I was like, look, it's got to be in the studio. It's got to be in the studio. And it's got to be real. It's got to be a real conversation. I had entertained.
So it's like he's now saying, no. He saw that they cut that interview short, and he was like, you're not going to do that. You're going to be locked in the steel cage with Joe Rogan for 3 hours, like it or not.
A couple of times but I'm just like, 45 minutes is just not enough. You and I have been talking an hour and a half already.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it's not enough time. You need more time. You need more time to find out what makes someone tick.
And that's probably what she was afraid of.
Probably what they were afraid of. Maybe not her. I don't think they should have been.
No.
I think we would have had a good old time.
No.
Yeah. Probably. I think that Joe knows deep down. We don't really know how much or how little Joe Rogan would have actually pressed this woman. We just don't know that answer. But I suspect doing it and at least having some wins, some sound bites, would have been better than what she did. The media, the people that were running around for Kamala Harris, have been saying, oh, well, it was Elon Musk and Dana White. They forced Joe Rogan to cancel the Kamala Harris interview. That's what the book claimed, that Elon and Dana White forced Joe Rogan to not do an interview. We know that's not true. We know that's not true based on what Joe Rogan has just put on record. They wanted people in the room. They wanted a stenographer. They wanted to be able to edit out any of her gaffes. We've confirmed that now. I believe that there's no way that Joe Rogan would have said this if he couldn't back it up. This absolutely demolishes Kamala Harris. It completely destroys the narrative. Joe Rogan says Kamala Harris' campaign lied about not making time for the XVP. We have the receipts. This woman is absolutely cooked. I hope she runs again in 2028. I really do. Because I look forward to, a more seasoned, credentialed, experienced JD Vance absolutely mopping the floor with her. Absolutely horribly embarrassing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.